What does a basketball league for short people?
The World Basketball League.
One of the largest retail frauds in U.S. history.
A discount chain called Farmore. Farmore.
The books were cooked.
And the Colorado Rockies all have in common. The answer runs through one man, a deep discount drugstore, and a single check made out to a travel agency in 1992. This is the story of the World Basketball League and its infamous president, Mickey Monos. On paper, you could argue this league was a small gimmick. Founded in 1987 by NBA legend Bob Cousy, who stood all of 6'1", the World Basketball League had essentially one rule that made it famous. No players over 6'5". That meant Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Patrick Ewing, and every other superstar of the era was simply too tall to play. Pitch was speed over size, 10-minute quarters instead of 12, and a very interesting sudden death style overtime where the first team to score 7 points in overtime would actually win the game. The whole idea behind the league was to highlight the shorter players while also encouraging a faster pace of play relative to the NBA. And the league put teams where the NBA wouldn't really bother. Youngstown, Fresno, Calgary, Saskatchewan, very unique markets where the league would never have to fight the NBA itself for fans. Players made 12 to 20 grand a season, which is obviously not a lot even converted to today's dollar. But the talent was still very real. John Starks played for the Memphis Rockers before the Knicks gave him his shot. Michael Jordan's older brother, Larry, even spent a year with the Chicago Express. Keith Smart, the man whose jumper won Indiana the 1987 national title,
Smart takes the shot. Indiana wins the championship.
played 3 seasons here. This little league was a launching pad to the biggest stage in basketball. There was just one problem. It was bleeding money from day one, and somebody was quietly covering every single loss. To find out who and why, you have to go to Youngstown, Ohio. This is Mickey Monos. See, Monos grew up in Youngstown, Ohio, a city that had been hollowed out. When the mills closed in 1979 and 1980, 5,000 people lost their jobs overnight, the population nearly halved. Monos was supposed to be the city's comeback story. He co-founded Farmore, a deep discount drugstore, moved its national headquarters into a gutted downtown department store, and became a local legend, a cult figure.
How tall are you? 5'9"? 5'9", so you could have made this league sometime if it was 20 years ago. I think I have the quickness. Okay.
But Youngstown had another famous son, 49ers owner Eddie DiBartolo Jr., who spent the 80s collecting Super Bowls. The same city, the same world, just different trophy cases. Monos couldn't buy an NFL team, so he built a basketball league instead and planted its flagship franchise, the Youngstown Pride, right at home. Something for his city to be proud of again. And the Pride were the crown jewel of the WBL. Back-to-back titles in 1980 and 1990. Best attendance in the league 3 years running. And the league as a whole looked the part. A TV deal with Sports Channel America and games airing across Canada. But here's what nobody in the building knew. That quirky little league for short skill players, it only existed because one man was secretly funding the entire thing. Monos didn't just own the Pride, he bankrolled the whole league. He kept Vancouver alive when they nearly folded in year one. He bailed out Calgary after they turned down his offer to buy them. In year one alone, he personally ate over $1 million in losses. There was just one catch. Monos didn't actually have that kind of money. Farmore did. Farmore was built on a single idea: buy in massive bulk, pass the savings to the customer, and undercut everybody. They called it power buying.
Power buying saves, save at Farmore.
And it worked, or at least it looked like it did. 12 stores in 3 years, 40 within 5, over 300 stores and 25,000 employees within a decade. Sam Walton himself admitted he feared them.
Sam Walton from Walmart came out and made the announcement that the only company that he fears at all in the expansion of Walmart, his number one competitor, is Farmore.
He couldn't figure out how they grew so fast. Well, here's how. By 1989, Farmore was quietly losing millions. The discount model customers loved was destroying the books. So Monos had basically 2 options. Either raise prices and admit that he couldn't undercut all the competition, or buy time and try to fix the problem another way. And you probably could guess that he chose the latter. He had his CFO, Patrick Finn, take the weekly financial reports, cross out the real numbers with a pen, and write in better ones. That was it. 2 sets of books. The fake version went to investors, auditors, and the board. The real one with all the losses got buried. The auditors made it easy. Coopers and the brand physically checked 4 of Farmore's 129 stores and would tell the company exactly which 4 and when. Plenty of time to make them look spotless. Then Monos got creative. Vendors were pressured into $50,000 league sponsorships. Coca-Cola paid $10 million just to keep Pepsi off the shelves. And a chunk of all of it quietly flowed into the World Basketball League. By 1992, more than $10 million of Farmore's money had been spent keeping a basketball league alive survive. Meanwhile, Monas continued living the high life. He had a standing suite at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, a poolside wedding at the Ritz-Carlton West Palm Beach, where his new wife wore an 18-karat gold mesh gown donated by Absolute Vodka, worth over $500,000 and requiring 2 armed guards. At the same time, Farmore had nearly $155 million in unpaid vendor bills stuffed into filing cabinets. The whole thing was held together on one condition: that nobody looked too closely. Then, one check landed on the wrong desk, a $75,000 check made out to a travel agent covering World Basketball League travel with the Farmore logo printed right on it. The travel agent showed her landlord. The landlord happened to be a Farmore investor, and he took it to CEO David Shapiro. Shapiro called in Pat Finn and demanded answers. Finn cracked, admitted $1 million had gone to the WBL. Shapiro didn't buy it. He wanted every checkbook. Monas made one last move, asking his accounting team to white out the names on the checks, but they refused. 5 days of auditing later, they found over $350 million in fraud. Later estimates put the total damage at over $1 billion. To put it in modern terms, they were cooked. Monas was fired on July 31st, 1992. The World Basketball League folded 2 days later, mid-season. Teams just stopped playing. Players went home. The Dayton Wings had the best record in the league at 26-7. They never got to even finish. Halifax and Saskatchewan were drawing the biggest crowds in league history. The league that relied on stolen money to exist ceased operations altogether overnight, and it almost took a third thing down with it. A year earlier, Monas had been named managing general partner of Denver's brand new MLB expansion team, the Colorado Rockies. When the fraud broke 251 days before opening day, he had to surrender his $12.5 million stake and find a buyer. Fast. MLB had Tampa investors on standby, and Tampa already had a dome. If Monas couldn't find a replacement, the Rockies were headed to Florida before they ever played a game. He found one, barely. So here's where it all landed. Monas was convicted on 109 counts. Bank fraud, wire fraud, mail fraud, tax evasion, obstruction of justice, interstate transport of stolen property. What a rap. A near 20-year sentence. He served 10. He even got married inside federal prison in 1998. Farmore went bankrupt, limped on under new owners, and was liquidated for good in 2002. The company Sam Walton once feared hadn't earned a real dollar of profit in years. The Rockies, they stayed in Denver and made it to the World Series in 2007. The World Basketball League lasted 5 whole seasons. 3 of its 4 champions were funded with stolen money. The only real thing it ever produced was a handful of players who used it to reach the NBA. A league almost nobody remembers, a fraud most people forgot, and a baseball team that nearly never existed. And it all came to a close because of a check that was sent to a travel agent. If you enjoyed this video, drop us a like and subscribe to Dunk's YouTube to never miss a video like this, but that's all we got for now.